Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate test.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala nabiyyihi wa mustafa Sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man wala wa ba'd. Dear brothers and sisters everywhere, welcome to a new episode of Ask Huda. Our phone numbers are area code 002-0238-555, 248 or 249, and the email address is ask@huda.tv. The first pending question was from Aisha from Nigeria. She had a bunch of questions. One of them was pertaining women wearing makeup and cosmetics when they are going out into public. If a woman is wearing the makeup and she's wearing the proper hijab on top of that, there is no problem. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran in Surah An-Nur, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا مَا ظَهَرَ مِنْهَا. Then afterward he said, وَلَا يُبْدِينَ زِينَتَهُنَّ إِلَّا. And the first one says, and that women should not show their zina, their beauty, their adornments, their makeup, including perfumes and so on. Then in the following one said that the zina or adornment should be only shown to certain people, or the people who are exempt from the restrictions are the maharim, as we discussed before. And so if a woman is going out and she's wearing the proper hijab, and beneath that she's wearing, for instance, nail polish, and when a woman may wear nail polish because it prevents the water from reaching to the nails, and accordingly it will invalidate the wudu, or wearing a lipstick, or the only problem is that if this woman is taking regular means of transportations, you have to keep in mind, God forbid, if anything happens in a public place where you have to show your face, or you have to, a woman once got in an accident and she was hospitalized. So when a woman leaves her house, she should keep in mind all these considerations. The purpose of wearing hijab is to conceal this zina, this adornment and the beauty, where it will be only allowed for the husband to enjoy, not for the public. Barakallahu fikum. Is it permissible for a woman to take her 10-year-old son or daughter as a mahram while traveling? First of all, the mahram whom a woman will be allowed to travel with must be a male, not a female. So if 2 or 3 women are traveling together, this is not a mahram. The mahram is a male whom for this particular woman is permanently forbidden to marry, such as a son, a father, a cousin, a grandson, a grandfather. Okay? So in this case, the mahram must attain the age of puberty at least. The age of puberty may be attained before 10 in certain parts of the world. So this person is a mahram in this condition, where you can travel with him. Sister Kifaya from Egypt, but let me take a few phone calls first. Sister Saba from Canada. Assalamu alaikum, Sister Saba, and welcome to Ask Huda.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khair, brother. I have a question. My question is based on what you just was saying a little while ago. Basically, Sheikh, I had heard that a woman cannot travel alone. I live in Toronto, Canada, and my parents live in LA. I haven't visited for 2 years. Recently, while you were away on a trip, one of the other scholars were taking the program. I think it was Hakim Al-Hajjar. He was the one who took Ask Huda, and in one of the shows, he said that one of the criteria is, one of the opinion rather was that, when the Prophet ﷺ said that a woman would travel from Sana'a to Iraq all alone. So based on this, the scholars say it's okay if a woman, there is somebody, a mahram dropping her, a mahram picking up. Because my situation is my husband doesn't get an off from work when my children have their holiday, and while my children have holiday, they are at school, he gets his off. So he cannot pick and drop me, and it's a direct flight of 4 hours. So after hearing this, he said, why don't you go alone now? And my parents are not keeping that well. They said, please come, please come. So I don't know what to do, Sheikh.
طيب بارك الله فيك. Okay, first of all, the Prophet ﷺ said repeatedly in several ahadith, it is not permissible for a woman who believes in Allah and in the last day to travel alone without a male mahram of her. In one narration it says the distance of 3 days, in another the distance of 1 day, and the scholars try to work it out and put the hadith together, and they said in one hadith he was answering a question pertaining traveling for the distance of 3 days, or the distance of 2 days, or the distance of 1 day. Whatever is considered customary as a travel or a journey by any means of transportation, by car, by sea, or airborne, if it is a travel, then according to these sound hadith, a woman must travel with a male mahram of her. Then the exemption that you mentioned earlier is not the opinion of just Sheikh Asim or one person. It is an opinion of many scholars who said a woman may travel for Hajj or Umrah if she is traveling with a safe company, if she's going in a caravan, but not traveling alone. So traveling to perform Hajj or Umrah. Yet, on the other hand, we have the vast majority of the scholars who said in the light of this hadith, a woman is not allowed to travel without a male mahram, even if she's going to perform Hajjul Farida or Hajjatul Islam. So, if she have the means, the financial means, and she's physically fit, she must go for Hajj. But if she doesn't have the male mahram, she doesn't have to go for Hajj. This is according to the vast majority of the scholars. Then we move to another area, which is, what if a woman has to travel for a serious need of hers and she doesn't have any male mahram? She then is allowed to travel, because الضرورات تبيح المحظورات. Necessities will make what's prohibited and restricted allowed, but within a limit. The limit of due to the necessity, and as long as the necessity is there. Of course, who explains the necessity and what is considered a necessity? Some people think for buying the wedding dress from Paris, that's a necessity. No, this is not a necessity. Somebody says that my dad is dying and I've got to see him, or I live in one country, I'm traveling with my minor kids to another country, I have to travel and I don't have a male mahram. That's a necessity. This is called darura. Okay? So according to this opinion, this single opinion, which says whenever it is necessary and a male mahram will drop her to the airport or to the flight, and another male mahram would pick her up from the airport, they say it is okay whenever it's necessary. Ikhwani, also I would like to remind you with what I said, and I also heard Sheikh Asim was saying the same. During the ash cloud in Europe, it was just last year, we have seen thousands and thousands of passengers who were stranded at the airport. No hotel rooms, no accommodations. They were literally lying down on the floor. Everywhere, if you can find a corner or here or there, sleeping for days. And basically, you cannot do anything. This is a natural disaster. Things like that happen to us and happen to others. So what happens to a woman, a Muslim woman who's traveling by herself, wearing her hijab, and she has to sleep in front of everybody and be stranded for days like that? This is just a practical example, something that all of us have witnessed, all of us have seen on the news, on television, read it in the news. So you have to keep in mind whatever legislation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala puts for Muslims, it is for their best interest, even if it seems like it's a restriction. You know, in Surah Al-A'raf, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam and his message as follows. الذين يتبعون الرسول النبي الأمي الذي يجدونه مكتوبا عندهم في التوراة والإنجيل يأمرهم بالمعروف وينهاهم عن المنكر ويحل لهم الطيبات ويحرم عليهم الخبائث. This ayah, Allah is addressing the people of the book, the Jews and Christians, with the traits of the last messenger, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What does he do? يأمرهم بالمعروف. He enjoins all what's kind and good. وينهاهم عن المنكر. And he forbids what's evil. ويحل لهم الطيبات. And he will make lawful for them everything which is good. So anything Islam makes it halal, then it is good, it is healthy, it is useful. وَيُحَرِّمُ عَلَيْهِمُ الْخَبَائِثِ. And he will make lawful everything that is evil, that is harmful. We're dealing with Allah, the Creator, who says in the Quran in Surah Al-Mulk, أَلَا يَعْلَمُ مَنْ خَلَقَ وَهُوَ اللَّطِيفُ الْخَبِيرُ. So this is the opinion and this is the exception, as I mentioned earlier, and as you mentioned of Sheikh Asim's view. Jazakum Allahu khair. Barakallah. Muhammadi from the KSA. Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam, Sheikh. I want to ask regarding Umrah. That I want to perform on 1st of Ramadan.
Yeah.
But leaving from the mom before Ramadan to Jeddah. I want to stay in Jeddah for 2 days. Then I will be performing Umrah on the first day of Ramadan. I want to know from where I have to where.
Okay. I tried my best to get your question, but please next time try to call from a better landline. If any person is going to perform Umrah or Hajj, if the sole purpose that you're going to perform Umrah, then the miqat will be from wherever that if you are flying or driving, if you pass by any miqat before Jeddah, it depends where you're flying from, or where you're driving from, or coming from. If you pass by any miqat on the way, then you should make the ihram and assume the intention of ihram at this miqat. But if you're going to attend a conference first, or if you're going for a family visit or for your own business, then you landed in Jeddah and you finish your business, you attended your conference, and you want to perform Umrah, only then you can make an intention or an ihram, assume the ihram from Jeddah, because you are within the miqat already of any destination, if you're coming from here or if you're coming from there, even if you're coming from Dammam. So it depends on your intention. Why are you going to Jeddah? To do the Umrah, or to visit the family members, or to do your business, whatever business it is. Barakallahu fikum. Brother Zaid from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Yeah, Zaid, how are you?
Good.
Okay.
Alhamdulillah.
Do you have any questions?
My question is my question is to I like to draw.
Yeah.
And some people tell me that it's my mother, and some people tell me that it is haram, and some people tell me that it is okay to draw. And I want to know if it's haram or okay.
Barakallah feek, Ya Zaid. Ya Zaid, I too, I love to draw, and I've drawn a lot of pictures, and beautiful pictures too, participated in international exhibitions, and drawing is not haram. But what's haram is to draw certain things. If you draw the image of a human being or a living creature, then that is only haram. But if you draw trees, nature, flowers, clouds, mountains, sunrise, sunset, moon and stars, you have many, many, many beautiful things, particularly the nature you can draw. And in addition to, I believe I was about 12 years old when I started drawing, and I draw a beautiful picture for my dad. But when I knew that you're not supposed to draw pictures of human beings, I had to tear it apart. And instead, I occupied myself with learning Islamic art and Islamic and Arabic calligraphy, which benefited me a great deal. So there are a lot of varieties with regards to art, drawing, painting, aside from what's prohibited. So what's prohibited is only one thing: do not draw human beings, birds, or living creatures. Besides that, you can draw anything that you want. Barakallahu feek ya Zaid. And I'm pretty sure you have plenty of things to draw. Abdul Aziz from Oman. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. Sheikh, I have 3 questions.
Please.
The first question is regarding prayer for Qasr. What is the duration, kilometer?
No.
And
the distance you mean? The distance?
Distance for the duration for traveling.
Distance and duration. Okay.
Okay. And second question, if we are working in desert or in one of the company, so if Zohar time or Asr time is started, if I am traveling, and after that I reaches the camp where our room is there, so we are allowed to pray full salah or the Qasr salah?
How long do you stay in the camp? How many days?
Sometimes 20 kilometers, sometimes 30, we are far from the camp.
No, Abdul Aziz, in the camp, how many days you live in the camp?
We are living here 1 year.
Let me rephrase my question. You have a house, right? You leave your home, you go to work, where you have to stay in the camp for a few days, then take a vacation and go back to your house, to your family members for a few days, back and forth, right? In the camp, how many days total do you have to stay in the camp?
We are staying in the camp only, and in the camp we need to stay for 1 year. Then we are going home. Actually, I am from India.
So you stay in the camp for 1 year? Okay.
Yeah, 1 year. So in the camp we are praying full prayer for the Zohar 4, Asr 4, Maghrib 3, Isha 4. But when we are going from camp to site for working place, around 30 kilometer, 40 kilometer, daily we are doing up and down. So for there, how much the distance we need to travel so we can say the Qasr Namaz?
Okay, I'll answer you, Abdul Aziz. With regards to the distance, the vast majority of the fuqaha in this regard said it is equivalent to 83 kilogram. 83 kilometers. So if you travel this distance, or you know that you'll be traveling this distance or more, once you exit the city limit or you camp, you're allowed to shorten the prayer. There is another view which is adopted by Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah and his student, where basically whatever is considered a journey, it allows you and it gives you the concession to shorten your prayer, even if it is lesser than the 83 kilometers or the farasakh which we talked about before. So even if it is just 25, 20, people say this is a travel or this is a journey, then you're allowed to shorten the prayer. And as long as you go back and forth, if you choose either one of the two opinions, for instance, if you choose the opinion which says that whatever distance, as long as is considered a journey or a travel or safar, allows you to shorten the prayer, then if you shorten your prayer and combine Dhuhr and Asr. So when you go back to the camp, you don't have to pray Asr. Even if when you go to the camp, you hear the Asr Adhan, and it's still already there Asr time, or you reach there before Maghrib time. If you happen to pray Asr along with Dhuhr due to shortening the prayer, that will be sufficient. Barakallahu feek. Sister Halima from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
Yes, Sister Halima, go ahead, please.
Hello?
Naam, I hear you.
Okay, I have only one question, Sheikh.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to ask, how is the Nafila prayer, Nafila prayers, Nafila Fajr prayer is prayed? So people are saying that you pray a Fatiha with Surah, that's Surah Al-Ikhlas and Surah Al-Kafir. While others are saying you just pray Fatiha and you continue with your prayer. So I want to know which one is.
And Nafila, Sister Halima is referring to is the 2 rak'ahs, as Sunnatul Ratiba before Fajr, which is an emphatic sunnah that the Prophet ﷺ loved to do so much even if he was traveling. Compared to other nawafil, even the emphatic sunnah, whenever he was traveling, he would skip them. But the 2 rak'ahs before Fajr were so important and significant that the Prophet ﷺ barely missed them. And in one hadith, he said, these 2 rak'ahs, and offering these 2 rak'ahs, is better than the entire world and what it contains, as far as virtues, reward, and thawab. The 2 rak'ahs are like any other 2 rak'ahs, nafila. After you recite Surah Al-Fatiha, you recite Surah Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun, or any other surah. And in the second rak'ah, you recite Surah Al-Fatiha and Surah Al-Ikhlas, or any other surah. Yes, it has been reported that the Prophet ﷺ recited Surah Al-Kafirun after Al-Fatiha in the first rak'ah, and Al-Ikhlas after the Fatiha in the second rak'ah, whether for the 2 sunnah after Maghrib, the 2 sunnah before Fajr, or for the Duha prayer. But it doesn't mean that you have to stick to that. So you can do it very oftenly. It is a sunnah, but it is not a must though. And every once in a while, you have to change. So it is simply like any other 2 rak'ah nafila you offer. Kifaya, Sister Kifaya said, recently a Christian baby boy was born in Nigeria holding a mushaf. Is this a sign of the Day of Judgment? No, of course it is not. Why not? It's a baby born with a mushaf. Number one, I cannot verify that. None of us can verify that. Sometimes people come to us and say, look, we found an egg where it's written on it, Allah, or La ilaha illallah, or a garden here and there where the spider web says La ilaha illallah, and the trees and the branches. We went through this a lot. Guess what? None of the above is needed to confirm the authenticity of this message of our deen. We're not waiting for any of these signs. Every once in a while, Christians say that they have seen Mary in the horizon. They go out and they celebrate and say, she's sending us a message. What message is it? Okay, what kind of message is it to say that there is a word Allah is written on an egg or the branches of the tree? We already believe that La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. We're using this in order to tell non-Muslims this is the truth. Well, it doesn't help much with these guys. We need to be convinced with facts. And that's why the Quran is full of logical proofs, especially pertaining the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're not going to make somebody believe in the oneness of Allah because of an egg, or you claim that somebody is born holding a mushaf. I don't know how would the mushaf come out of the womb, but even if it happens, it's not going to increase my iman a bit. And if it didn't happen, it would not decrease my iman a bit. I believe because I believe. because I'm convinced that there is only one God who is worthy of worship, and I believe this God, I owe him worship, and I owe him tawheed, and I believe that unto him I will be returned, and that's why I'm trying my best to behave. I'm trying my best to worship him properly and behave with every living creature according to what he prescribed for me. So please, we don't want to hang around a lot and waste a lot of time with things like this. Okay, somebody is born with a mushaf in hand. Alhamdulillah wa shukrullah. Good. But this is not a sign of the day of judgment, because we already know the signs of the day of judgment, the major and the minor. And we have programs pertaining the hereafter and the signs that precedes the hereafter, al-alamat al-sura wal-alamat al-kubra, and that is discussed in details. Knowledge is the key. It will remove all of these, I don't want to say superstitions, but if the person have the true knowledge, he would not be affected by anything like that, would not ask a question whether this is a sign of a day of judgment or not, because it is not. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Sister Sarah from the KSA, welcome to Ask Huda. Okay, please try again, Sister Sarah. I'm sorry to keep you for long on the line. Another question from Sister Kifaya. Is it permissible for married women to be using powder, fragrance, and other adornments when going out? I guess another sister, Sister Aisha from Nigeria, earlier asked this question in the beginning of the program. And I would like to tell you that it doesn't make any difference whether she's married or not married. The fitna does not distinguish a married from a non-married woman. And the ruling does not specify married or non-married. Every woman who is going out, or not only going out, staying home, were foreigners. Foreigners here means somebody who is not your male mahram. Your cousin is considered a foreigner. Ajnabi in Arabic, literally, yani. He is not one of the maharim, which means if he is interested in marrying you and you are interested, you can get married legally. It's legal. According to the Sharia, it's legal for cousins to get married. Okay, so he's not allowed to look at your zina. He's not allowed to see you wearing makeup. He's not allowed to see your hair. He's not allowed to see you wearing a v-neck, allowed to see your legs, or while wearing very nice perfume or fragrance, because what applies to any other man who's not your mahram applies to your cousin as well. Barakallahu feekum. Let's take a short break, and inshallah in a couple of minutes we'll get back to you.
Dear viewers, Huda programs can be watched in the English section of the in-flight entertainment directory on board all Saudi airline flights, domestic and international. Sit back, relax and enjoy watching Huda's entertaining and enlightening shows on your trip. Huda wishes you a safe and successful journey. Huda, a light in every home. Europe's forgotten heritage.
This is a sad reminder of the past history of the Muslims in the city. Nowadays, there are no Muslims anymore. These are the mosques that have remained. And it is really sad.
Wait a second, this is Morocco. No, this is Tunisia, Algeria, North Africa, Egypt. No, this is all Europe, and this is all part of Spain. Islam spread first in Africa, and then from Africa it came over to Europe, and then it did developing work in Europe. Now, we look the other way around nowadays. The compass was invented by the Muslims. Many important inventions came from the time of the Muslims on the Iberian Peninsula. Instead of people becoming less in battles, as we normally know, as we know in battles obviously people die, but no, what was happening? the Spaniards recognized and realized the superiority of the Muslims and the treatment that the Muslims gave to the Christians and the Jews in Spain at that time, that they happily accepted Islam, many of them.
And not over the fountain, as we've seen it before in other places in Greece. Now, it has some Arabic on top, as well as it had some Arabic down where the tap used to be, or where the water was coming out.
Pack your bags, grab your passports, and join Dr. Steph Keris as he takes us through Europe and rediscovers Europe's forgotten heritage, only on Huda TV.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome back. Sister Kifaya had a final question which says, what are the responsibilities of a woman over her husband? And this question is very important, and since it may take a long time to answer, I will just refer to one ayah in the Quran in this regard, and afterward we did record the whole program pertaining marriage life, marriage maintenance, and the rights of both the husbands and the wives, the spouses on each other, and so on. The ayah says, وَلَهُنَّ مِثْلُ الَّذِي عَلَيْهِنَّ بِالْمَعْرُوفِ. So there are duties and rights. The duties which are due on the wife are similar to the duties which are due on the husband, or even. Similarly are the rights. So if the husband is in charge for the financial support, for the protection, for the care of the family, for upbringing the children properly, then the wife is a house engineer. In most cases, she should look after the children, she should take care of her husband's needs, she should not allow any person in his house whom he dislikes. She should not speak to people whom he dislikes, as long as he does not order her to sever her relations with her family members. The Prophet ﷺ once had a woman who visited him, and he said, أَذَاتُ زَوْجٍ أَنْتِ? Are you married? She said, yes. So the Prophet ﷺ said, انظري أين أنت منه فإنه إما جنتك وإما نارك. Well, you have to understand that your husband is going to be either your paradise or your fire of hell, which means how you deal with your husband will determine whether you will be in paradise or otherwise. وَالْعِيَاذُ بِاللَّهِ. In another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ gives a bishara, a glad tiding to the wives and to the married women. Meanwhile, he reminds them with their responsibilities. He said, إذا صلت المرأة خمسها وأطاعت زوجها وحفظت فرجها. If the woman does a few things, in one narration 5 things, in one narration 4 things. If she offers the 5 daily prayers, if she fasts during Ramadan, if she obeys her husband, if she guards and protects her chastity, then it will be said to her, enter paradise from whichever gate you desire. Enter al-Jannah from which gate you choose. It will be said to her, ادخلي الجنة من أي أبوابها شئت. What an honor! But this is a task that requires the person to be committed lifetime. أطاعت زوجها means she obeys her husband. This obedience is not absolute, because he is not God and he is not infallible. The obedience in the commands, which are number 1 legal, number 2 affordable. Because if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها, how can then for a man to ask another human being to do something beyond their capacity, or it will burden them? Okay? And the command has to be ma'ruf, has to be something legal. If this is the case, and the wife obeys her husband, she takes care of her household والمرأة في بيت زوجها راعية ومسؤولة عن رعيتها. One hand does not clap, brothers and sisters. There's got to be two. The husband on one hand and the other is the wife. So that تعاونوا, help one another, cooperate. To do what? على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. A few things the Arabic Bedouin poet, she was a woman, advised her daughter. It's a beautiful advice. I wish I can share it with you entirely, but it's not possible now. She says that make sure that your husband would not find but a good smell from you. So that if you know that he's coming home tired from work around 2 or 3, you should be finishing cooking and your kitchen work before that. So when he enters, you would only find the good fragrance, the good smell, not the onions and the garlic and all of that. All of us are full of shortcomings and errors. But this is a reminder, as I'm saying. And she also said that make sure that you do not starve him. Why? Because you are busy talking to somebody on the phone, involved in backbiting and slander for a couple hours. That's why he didn't get to cook. Or you were shopping. If this is done once in a while, no problem. But if it is done on regular basis, the husband will have to look around for somebody else. Assalamu alaikum, Sarah from the KSA.
Yes, Assalamu alaikum. I have one question.
Please.
I have a problem my wudu break very soon because during the childbirth I had problem in the anal sphincter. Okay, and wind comes again and again. That breaks my wudu, and I have to pray again and again. And like 5 times I have to do wudu for one prayer.
No, you don't have to, Sarah. You don't have to do that. You've taken the hard way, and Allah already gave you the concession and the easy way. And I will tell you what you should be doing. You don't have to pray 5 times or make 5 wudus and so on.
Okay. Okay. And what the second question, you explain what if the husband insists on anal sex to a Muslim wife, and what are the Islamic rulings for anal and oral sex? Because
Jazakumullahu khairan, Sister Sarah. Thank you so much. I would like to remind the viewers, it is very important to ask. But there are some questions which will be better to ask them via writing or the email, because the Prophet ﷺ said, وَالْحَيَاءُ شُعْبَةٌ مِّنَ الْإِيمَانِ. Shyness is one of the branches of Iman. Barakallahu fikum. But I will answer you, inshallah, Sister Sarah. Assalamu alaikum. Gamal from Belgium.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته يا شيخ.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. أهلا وسهلا. Go ahead, Brother Jamal, please.
جزاكم الله خيرا. I have only one question, inshallah, so please. I won't be taking too much of the time in the program.
Yeah.
It is actually a question for someone else. He has asked me 2 weeks ago. So inshallah now I have the opportunity. It's with regards to Zakatul Mal.
No.
And the question is as follows. He has bought himself a very expensive metal watch of over 7,000 euros. And the intention behind this purchase is because he was afraid that he would, let's say, spend all his wealth just here and there. So what he did, he bought this watch and he wants to keep it until one day he wants to use that money, then he will sell it. So he asked me, is this considered something that is zakatable? Does he have to pay zakat on it due to his intention of keeping it or not? That is the question, inshallah. That's all.
Thank you, brother. Asma from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Ask Huda.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, I have 2 questions.
Mm-hmm.
My first question is, I have a cousin who was in a relationship with a Christian, and she's willing to get married to her, but she says she doesn't want to convert to Islam. Is he allowed to get married to her and she continues her religion till
okay.
get to the part?
the person, wait a minute, the person who wants to get married is Christian?
Yes.
Okay. And he wants to marry to his Muslim cousin?
No, my cousin is a Christian. The guy is a Christian. I'm sorry, he's a Muslim. He wants to get married to a Christian lady.
Okay, so a Muslim wants to get married to a Christian lady.
Yes, but she says she's not ready to convert to Islam.
Okay. That's it?
And then secondly, right?
Okay. That's it? That is a question?
Yeah, the lady is a Christian and the guy is a Muslim.
Do you have any other questions?
Yes, I did two questions. Then secondly, is it allowed for a Muslim lady who is married to work in a telecommunication company?
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
Customer care center.
Asma, can you repeat the question slowly, please?
Okay, is it allowed for a Muslim woman who is married to work in a telecommunication center that's a customer care center?
Okay. Is it allowed for a Muslim woman to work in telecommunication?
Yes, if she is married.
Okay, barakallahu feek. Thank you so much. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go back to Sarah from the KSA, pertaining not being able to keep the wudu due to frequently breaking wind. It will be sufficient to make wudu once the prayer time has entered. One wudu. And with this wudu, you pray the nawafil, the sunan, before and after. And you pray the fard itself, even if you end up breaking wind while in the prayer. Why? Because now we are in an area where you need a concession. You need help. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, فَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ مَا اسْتَطَعْتُمْ. This is by analogy to a very well-known case which is known as urine incontinence. Some people cannot control their urination or their wind. So in this case, they make wudu only when the prayer time has entered or when they hear the adhan, if they are nearby a masjid and they hear the adhan. And they can pray even if they know that they just broke wind in the prayer itself. And the prayer, inshallah, is valid. But this is valid only for one fard prayer. Barakallah fikum. As far as sexual relations, I also advise the couple who would like to get married to be educated on this part. This is very important. Some men may take advantage of the ignorance or the innocence of their spouses, and they ask them to do things which may be prohibited and major sin, such as having relations from the rear orifice. It is a major sin, one of the worst sins. This is entirely prohibited. But as long as the intimate relation is done in the orifice where the child is born from, and whether in any position, in any sexual position, that is permissible. But in the real one, this is a major sin, and the Prophet ﷺ cursed the person who would do such thing. So now if the husband requires you to do that, say no, even if it leads to divorce. This person needs counseling. Or maybe he doesn't know the hukm. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows. So we'll assume the easier one first, then we'll look into the later one whenever it is needed. Brother Hassan from Nigeria. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Wa alaikum salam. Please try again, Brother Hassan. Rayhana from United Arab Emirates. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Sheikh, I have two questions.
Please.
Is it permissible to take Islamic loan?
Islamic loan? Islamic loan?
In the sense from an Islamic bank.
Okay. Can you tell me the transaction, the form of the transaction? I mean, you take...
Because I haven't taken, because in the sense people say Islamic bank is according to Sharia. So is it okay to take a loan from Islam?
Rayhana.
Islamic bank.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. In this bank, if you take 1,000 dirham and you say you will return it in 6 months, when you return it, you will return it 1,000 dirham or 1,100?
Another question, Sheikh. Hello?
Naam.
When my husband is busy, is it okay for me to take my kids to nearby park? I mean, it's a little away from my building, because when they feel bored, they just want to go out. Is it okay for me to me and my kids to go to the park?
It is okay as long as your husband allows that and you go out with the proper hijab. You can go to the park, you can go shopping, you can do, no problem. It makes the audience feel that Islam restrains the woman and doesn't allow her to go to the park or go out. Of course, this is not the case. Okay, barakallahu fiki. But as far as the Islamic loan, I am reluctant to call things, everything Islamic, Islamic, Islamic. We're saying a loan, is it in order or in compliance with the Sharia or not? If I take a loan from somebody or from a bank because I need it for a reason or another, and I say, I promise I will pay you 6 months later or a year from now or 2 years based on our agreement, and he says fine, he gives you the money, and at the time of collection you pay the money without paying anything extra, then this is a legal transaction. But if the contract includes interest and interest rate or anything extra that you have to do, or actions, not just the payment, like extra service that you have to do, that's considered an increase. And الربا لغة معناه الزيادة, which is an increase. So when you pay back, if you end up paying extra, that is called riba, and this is not legal in Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Brother Abdul Rahim from the KSA.
Assalamu alaikum, Sheikh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Yeah, it's the first time I'm getting the Ask Huda through, so I'm very excited.
Welcome to Ask Huda, and thank you for calling in.
Yeah, I have one question. I'm a Nigerian. Back there at home, especially towards the evening and in the morning, people used to sit around a white cloth and they are reciting some, I don't know what they are reciting after Salat. So I don't know if this is permissible in Islam or not. This is my other question. After I will gather many questions.
Barakallahu feek. Thank you, Abdul Rahim. Jazakallahu khair. Brother Jamal from Belgium, some of his friends bought a watch, 6 or 7,000 euros. This is quite an expensive watch. And he's asking, do I have to pay zakah on it? If you buy this watch for yourself, mashallah, you're rich, and you're wearing this watch, and you're wearing a pair of shoes for 1,000, and jacket, whatever, you can afford it, fine. Do I have to pay zakah on this watch, expensive clothes? No, you don't. But if you're buying the watch, if you're buying whatever you're buying as a mean of investment and trade, you're buying to sell. In this case, it is zakatable. That's called urud al-tijara. It is for trade, even if you wear it for a few times. But if you're not a merchant, you're not buying this in order to resell it, then you're buying it for yourself, there is no zakah on it. And I don't advise to buy such an expensive watch to wear. It could be a fitna for yourself and for others. Allahu ta'ala a'la wa a'lam. Asma from Nigeria, and this is the last question we have. A Muslim man wants to marry to a Christian girl. It is permissible if this Christian woman is a chaste woman, did not have a boyfriend, did not have outside marriage relationship, because it is also prohibited in Christianity, same like in Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said when He allowed us to marry Al-Kitabiyya, He said, وَالْمُحْصَنَاتُ مِنَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ مِنْ قَبْلِكُمْ. Yet, my advice is, look for a Muslim woman, because insha'Allah, once you have children, you want a mother who will teach your children how to read the Quran, how to use the bathroom properly, how to clean up, how to offer the prayers. You know, a lot of people go through a lot of hassle. Why? Because of their heart, because of their whim, because of their desire, and they end up regretting. I'm not making what Allah made lawful unlawful, but what I'm saying is the better option is to look for a Muslim woman, and not just any Muslim woman. Al-muhsanatu min al-mu'minat, a chaste, practicing Muslim woman. Brothers and sisters, by that we come to the end of today's edition of Ask Huda, and until next time, I leave you in the care of Allah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Allah is my heart's speech, your mercy is what I beseech. Keep in my heart your remembrance, and in your deen allow me to advance. Help me in my quest, permit me to pass the ultimate